There's a new boom sweeping across Australia and it's attracting the shrewdest brains and the fattest wallets in the land. It's beef, and it's a big business. Where mining was the only show in town, now the cattle industry is riding high. After years of drought, dwindling prices and live export controversy, properties you couldn't give away are today worth hundreds of millions of dollars. The smart money is snapping them up. Twiggy, Gina, and the most unlikely cattle baron of them all. Springtime in the Kimberley means it's hot, dry, and as always, spectacular. Not many Australians get to visit this remote and dusty domain, a shame because it's one of our greatest treasures. Right now, all those cattle also make it one of our greatest hopes. This story, though, really starts at the other end of the continent. The big man getting out of the Mini at Melbourne's Essendon Airport
We haven't seen you for a long time.
I would have thought so.
is an unlikely giant of the cattle business. I've checked out the plane.
Is it all right?
It's beautiful.
You know, this is...
As you can probably already guess, Harold Mitchell has done all right for himself.
This is very humble. It's basically a Cessna.
For most of his life, he was an advertising mogul. But 7 years ago, he was lured to the land. And today, he wants to show me why. "75% of Australians wouldn't know what's happening down here because they all live in cities."
They all live in big cities, and Charles, they don't know what they're missing because Australia is the most incredible country.
At 30,000 feet, Harold's optimistic pitch is simple. Forget the economic doom and gloom we constantly hear about in the city. Get into cattle, because the world needs food and we can supply it.
This country of ours, we're in the middle of Asia, 50% of the world's middle-class people. This can be the best century we ever had if our people get hold of it. And
Harold is happy to talk about the cattle industry until the cows come home. But in his sleek jet, we're soon in Halls Creek, where our helicopter awaits. An hour later, we're in the heart of Yugawalla Station, all 1.5 million hectares of it. And for as far as the eye can see, this country is Harold's. So, if I look out at the horizon, this is all yours.
all the way around. That's still us, all the way around there. You know, today that we came here by helicopter, it probably took us half an hour to get from the side fence to the house. And that's just the way it is. The front gate over here is about 100 kilometres, they tell me, so.
We haven't even seen a cow yet, but already Harold Mitchell has sold me on the future of beef.
Food is going to be bigger than any of the initial resource that we got.
Will it be bigger than coal? Is it a better bet than
absolutely.
coal today?
Food is what the world is going to need. Bigger than any of the resources over a long, long period of time.
Another morning in paradise?
It's wonderful. 5:45 in the morning. Look at that. Incredible.
Harold's 73, but has the energy of an ox. So at dawn the next morning, it's back in the chopper to see the real stars of this show.
So we're looking at a lot of cattle this morning as they come together who are headed off soon into Broome.
In 2008, when he bought into Yugawalla, there were about 2,000 head of cattle. Now they run 45,000, and in the next few years plan to get to 80,000. This lot, though, are off to Indonesia, where they're worth about $750 each, meaning we're looking at $500,000 just in this yard. No wonder Harold Mitchell likes what he sees.
So just look at these cattle here, and everyone's in control from time to time, and this great big Brahman bull, what a proud-looking animal.
He is magnificent.
Just looking over. We'll call him the Prime Minister, that one, I think.
The new Prime Minister.
The new Prime Minister.
He's a very proud-looking fellow, isn't he?
Most Prime Ministers are, Charles.
while Harold's deep pockets and big business acumen drive expansion.
There you go, there you go.
It's his partners, Hayden and Jane Sale, who do the day-to-day heavy lifting. It's tough work, but these two are tough folk, as we were about to see. While the cattle were being loaded, Jane jammed her hand. It clearly hurt, but there aren't any doctors out here, so after some minor running repairs, she soldiered on. You've reminded me that although it's an exciting business, it's also a dangerous one.
It is.
What have you done there?
I think I've split the skin and smashed my finger on a gate.
Looked painful.
It is.
What we didn't know at the time was how painful. Jane had crushed the bones in the tips of 2 of her fingers, but she has suffered much worse.
I had an accident in the yard about 4 years ago where a bull came out of the race and I was right there, nowhere to go, so I was beaten around a bit and it scalped me. And
You were scalped?
Yes.
I got back to the yards and the boys had already pulled Jane out and she'd strapped up her own head and she was covered in blood all down her shirt and her face. And it was pretty horrifying.
She'd strapped up her own head. She's like something out of The Drover's Wife.
The boys strapped me, I just instructed
She
them.
gave instructions. Yeah.
There might be pain, but there's even more gain. In 7 years, Harold's investment has already doubled and doubled again. In another few years, the numbers will be staggering. What's it worth?
It's $150 million or so. So it's a big business.
No wonder this is where the clever cash is currently headed. And it's not just Harold's. Mining billionaires like Gina Rinehart and Twiggy Forrest are snapping up cattle stations. There's also enormous international interest in buying Kidman and Company, the nation's largest private landowner whose combined holdings make up 1.5% of Australia. Now, your fellow members of, can I call it, the Filthy Rich Club,
Yes.
who are going into cattle, they're not people who waste their money.
No. There's more growth. This will go for 100 years because Asia is just expanding, and it needs to be supplied. One of the things is food supply and food security, and we can do both of them. So no one's a fool going into it.
The greatest thing about up here is you can buy places and just put water and fences in and run more cattle. You can't do that in the south. They're generally all pretty well stocked up. So, and I think it's really exciting we're seeing wealthy people coming into it because they're seeing the opportunity in it too.
When the smart money moves in, you know you've made the right decision.
Yeah, we like to think that they're backing the industry, which is really exciting. And they're generally Australian people too, which is really exciting.
From the Indian Ocean to the edge of the Great Sandy Desert, the top end of Australia is in a buoyant mood. In the Kimberley, big changes have come to the bush, and nothing illustrates it so well as the drive to Neater Down Station. On either side, you see the discarded, idle equipment from the last mining boom waiting here in the heat and the dust, presumably for the next one. Meanwhile, down the end of the road, there is a much more optimistic story to tell, and it's got nothing to do with mining. Have I missed my chance? Is it too late to get into beef?
Oh, not really if you got money. You can get in if you got money.
Compared with Harold Mitchell's operation, Damien and Kirsty Forshaw only have a small stake in the beef bonanza. Just a little family farm. But at 210,000 hectares, it's still big enough to defy comprehension. And it's not just the land. The Forshaws' 5,000 strong herd is worth millions. The demand is very good at the moment, isn't it?
Very good.
At this very moment.
Yeah, very good. And it's good to see.
Make you smile?
Yes.
A smiling farmer? That's something you don't see every day.
Exactly.
Oh no, it's good just to have cattle in the yards and not have that worry about whether you can sell them or not. Now we're pretty confident that we can sell the ones we want to sell and get a good price for them.
Do you know, in a lifetime of reporting up the bush, how rare it has been to go and report a story that isn't a heartbreak?
Yeah. Well, if you come here a couple of years ago, you would have got it.
I'd have got the heartbreak story.
Yeah, you would have. We came
Probably
pretty
last
close
year.
a few times, so where we wondered whether we'd still be here. So we're just even happy that we're just here.
In 2011, our beef trade relationship with Indonesia was at its lowest point because of cattle cruelty allegations raised in the media. The ban on live exports lasted only a few months, but it took top-end cattle farmers to the brink of ruin. And it's taken them 4 years to recover. Now, happily enough, we're having trouble filling the orders because Indonesia can't get enough of our beef.
And the important question is, do they taste as good as they sound?
They do, they taste amazing.
With the growing appetites of China and India adding to the market, our farmers at last have something to celebrate.
It's very healthy because...
This comes from the cleanest environment in the world here.
Yeah, we don't use any pesticides or any sort of products like that. It's just out there in the grass.
Back on Yugawalla Station, it seems Harold Mitchell wants to show off all of his 1.5 million hectares.
Harold, did you love this country the moment you set your eyes on it?
You know, Charles, when you look at all of this, it's what makes Australia in every way, and I love the idea of that for family and grandchildren and for Australians generally.
From ad man to cattle baron, it's been quite a career change. Maybe it's something in the water he happily shares with the cattle.
And I can tell you, it's as good as that.
Really?
Yeah. How good?
I'll take your word for it.
But it's clearly given him a new life. And with Harold Mitchell spruiking it, it's clear that the cattle industry up here has a very bright future.
I probably could have retired. I could have retired. I had a great time in advertising, great time in life, very happy with the things I did, but how exciting it is to be able to do something like this because you leave finally and you did something.
What interests me is after your long experience of life and everything you've seen, you remain completely optimistic, don't you?
Absolutely. Can you imagine what a terrible life it would be to be a pessimist? That would be terrible. The other thing is I owe so much to Australia, and if you can put something back with all of that, I think that's what life was about.
Pity we didn't have a few more of you.
There are plenty.
Hello, I'm Amelia Adams. Thanks for watching 60 Minutes Australia. Subscribe to our channel now for our brand new stories and exclusive clips every week. And don't miss out on our extra minute segments and full episodes of 60 Minutes on 9now.com.au and the 9Now app.